Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. So inshallah now we'll start with our first actual lesson of looking at some things in the grammar of the Arabic language. So before we start looking in the book that we're going to use as our guide for studying grammar, there's a few things or a few fundamental concepts about the language I want to explain first, because these things are really the fundamental building blocks of the language that we are going to need when we're reading in our books for reading. And since with this program I really want us to jump in and start reading a lot immediately, I feel it's necessary for us to talk about these things first so that we have them in mind. For people that have a little bit of background or had studied Arabic before, this you should already know all this, so this will be a quick review for you. For people that this is the first time that you're learning about this, then it might seem a little difficult or overwhelming at first, but just try to concentrate, review, listen over and over again till you understand it and really have it in your mind, and don't move on until the next lesson until you've really completely understood it and memorized all the important parts that need to be memorized. And that's a general rule for this program. I'm not setting a certain pace that anyone should go through this program, whether they want to watch one lesson a week or one lesson every few days or one lesson every day. Once the videos are up there and available, it's really up to you at what pace you can take. But generally, if you really want to benefit from this program, never move on from one video or one lesson to the next lesson until you've completely mastered that lesson. So the things that I'm going to talk about now in this video, don't move from this video to the second video until you've completely understood the components of this video and memorize those parts that I'm going to ask you to memorize. So conceptually, what makes the Arabic language special is that it's a language of i'rab, which means it's a language where the ending of the words change according to the grammatical role that those words are playing in a sentence. So I'm just going to give a very, very oversimplified explanation of that here at the beginning, just to get us started. And then as we go through the grammar book, we'll learn it in a more detailed way. So what I'm telling you now is almost not 100% correct. It's just a kind of introduction that can help get us started with reading. And then as we go through the grammar book, we will see exactly how this works. So generally, we have three cases that a word can be in. There's one more that's just only for verbs, but for our purposes right now, we'll say there's three cases. One is for the word to be marfu'. Two is for the word to be mansub. And three is for the word to be majroor. And there are certain symbols on the endings of the word that let you know which case this word is in or what role that word is playing in a sentence. So generally, if the word has a dhamma at the end, for example here, tanween, then that means that word is marfu'. And this, for a word to be marfu', for it to have that dhamma at the end, generally that means this is an essential part of the sentence. This is what the sentence is about. This is the subject of the sentence. And we'll see this. I have a simple example for us to look at. The second case, for the word to be mansub, it will have a fatha at the end. So this an at the end. For it to be majroor, then generally, there's exceptions to these, but this is just to get us started, then it will have the kasra at the end, the in sound. So in order for us to make sense of that, let's look at a very simple sentence that I wrote here that has all three of those cases happening in the same sentence. So the sentence says, ضرب زيد عمرا بمسواك. So the translation of that is, Zayd hit Amr with a miswak, with a toothbrush. So daraba is a past tense verb or a fi'al. We'll try to stick to the Arabic terminology. Is a fi'al or an action, daraba, in the past. Zaydun. Zayd, the name of the person, Zayd, is the one that did the hitting. So he's really what this sentence is all about. If without Zayd, the sentence can't exist, because he's the one that's doing the action that the sentence is talking about. So Zayd, that word, is in the state of being marfu'. It has that dhamma at the end of the word. Amran is some extra information. This name, Amr, here is in the case of being mansub, because he is the one that is being hit by Zayd. So for example, in the English language, if I say Zayd hit Amr, you know who's the one doing the hitting and who's the one being hit because of the order of the sentence. In Arabic, it's completely different. We could do the order either way. We could say Amran daraba Zaydun, and the meaning would still be that Zayd hit Amr, because we don't know who's doing which action because of the order of the sentence. We know it because of the symbols of the i'rab, by which case the word is in. So here, the being marfu' with the dhamma at the end, that means that this is an essential part of the sentence, generally the one who's doing the action in the sentence. Here, the word Amr is mansub. He's the one that the action is being done to. And here is majroor, bi miswak, because it's coming after a preposition. So anytime you have a word coming after a preposition, here, that preposition is the letter ba, bi, meaning with. Bi miswakin, with a miswak. Daraba Zaydun Amran bi miswakin. Zayd hit Amr with a miswak. This with, that ba, that letter that has the meaning of with, that preposition, causes this word to be majroor, having that kasra sound at the end, that in sound, to let you know that this is some information about the tool that was used for the hitting. Now, it's the details of how this works in the language are much, much more complicated than what I've just given you right now, but this is just something to give us a brief introduction. Honestly, this part of what I'm explaining on the right side of the board, you just have to have a general understanding of what I'm talking about here. You don't have to completely master this concept right now. It's just to give you a little introduction before we start reading, so that we can look at that in more details while we were actually reading. What's on the left side of the board, this is really important today that you have to memorize once we get to that. But this part here on the right side that I'm talking about right now is just a general introduction to the way the grammar of the language works, so we can be a little bit familiar and start to understand these things in practice when we start reading. So the important thing here, for words in the Arabic language, when they're used in a sentence, they're generally going to be in one of these three cases: marfu', mansub, or majroor. And how you know which case they're in is because the harakat, the symbols that are at the end of the word, does it have dhamma? And here this is tanween. I'll explain more about that as well. Does it have a dhamma, being the u sound, or fatha being the a sound, or kasra being the e sound? So the thing that you have to memorize right now from this part is that there are three cases with these names: marfu', mansub, and majroor, and that each of them has these one symbol that represents that lets you know which case it's in, and memorize those symbols. Marfu', the symbol is dhamma; mansub, the symbol is fatha; and majroor, the symbol is kasra. And here we have an example of that in the sentence. ضرب زيد عمرا بمسواك. This is marfu because it has the on at the end. Amran is mansub because it has an at the end. And bimiswakin, miswak here, the word is majrur because it has in at the end. Now, you noticed here, for people that are familiar with reading Quran, you should know what tanween is. Anytime where you have the two dammas or the two fathas or the two kasras at the end, right? If it was just a damma, we say u. If it's just a fatha, we say a. If it's just a kasra, we say e. But when it has the two of them, we say on and in. And this also is a symbol that tells us that the word is it's undefined. It's just general be miswakin with any miswak. A miswak. It's in English, what do we say? In Arabic it's called nakira, but in English I guess you would say it's undefinite. When we want to make a word definite, then we bring alif and lam at the beginning, and then after that we won't have these extra damma or fatha or kasra at the end. When the alif lam comes, that basically means the definite article, right? And once that alif and lam comes, now this extra fatha or kasra or damma has to go away. So here I have a very similar sentence to what we had at the beginning, except that we have alif and lam on some of these words to make the tanween go away. So here we have ضرب الرجل الولد بالمسواك. The man, rajul in Arabic means man, and al-rajul with alif lam at the beginning means the man. The man hit al-walad, the boy. Walad means boy, and here because we have the alif lam at the beginning, al-walad, al-walada, because he's the one being hit, it's in the case of being mansub, bil miswak, with the miswak, and here it's majrur with just one kasra instead of the two because we have the alif lam. So just to review quickly the important things to take away from this, if you didn't 100% understand everything I said here, no problem. This is just, like I said, to give a general conceptual outline of some of the very important concepts that we're going to see over and over and over again. And once we start reading, we'll see this in every single sentence and it'll start making more sense. But at least I want you to get a few important things ingrained in your mind. There's 3 cases that a word can be in, either marfu', mansub, or majrur, and each of those cases has a symbol. When these words are indefinite, they will have tanween at the end. So that damma will actually be 2 dammas and it won't be pronounced just rajulu, it would be pronounced rajulun, right? And anybody, like I said, that has experience reading the Quran or has studied tajweed, then you should know what I'm talking about here. But once we make those words definite by putting an alif lam at the beginning of it, we are no longer allowed to have 2 dammas or 2 fathas or 2 kasras. It's just one. You can never say ar-rajulun. You can only say either rajulun or ar-rajulu. So that's the important thing from here, from the right side of the board, that I want you to understand just in a very general fashion to help us once we start reading today with our first lesson in reading from our book. And all these things, as I said, as we go through the book in grammar, it will get explained in much more detail, and inshallah will become more clear to you as we go along.